Hello, Book Club, hosted by Heather Skinner. We are here for a special bonus interview. Our February Book Club Book of the Month feature is actually Halie Fewkes, who wrote The Secrets of the Tally series. And today we'll talk to Halie later on at the end of the month after we've gotten to read her book one. And today we have a really special guest. This is Colleen Mitchell. She works with Halie Fewkes in the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge, which I have had the honor of participating in and getting a winner's pin from. And I got to work with Colleen during that. So we're going to get to talk with Colleen about a bunch of different exciting things today. And as always, my daughter Gemma gets the very first question. Thank you, first of all, Colleen, so much for being here.
Of course.
And Gemma, what would you like to ask for the first question today?
So how did you become a coach in the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge?
Well, that is a very good first question. It started because Halie reached out to me with a really, really long email asking if I would be interested in possibly working with her for the coaching section of the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. She had this grand idea for it, and as soon as I read that huge, long email, I'm like, duh. Of course I'll join you. Of course I'll join you. So that's how I became the coach for the challenge.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Do you want to thank her for answering your question?
Thank you, Colleen Mitchell.
You are welcome, Gemma.
All right. So you are also an author, and I would love if we could start off, if you have a copy of your book, if you want to show us that, tell us a little brief bio about it.
Sure. So I am always prepared to show off my book. It is called Mark of Stars. It's the first book in what I'm calling the Chronicles of Talam. And this book came from two different manuscripts that I wrote when I was in junior high school. And in 2018, I think it was, I mashed them together during National Novel Writing Month. I like describing the world as a combination of Harry Potter, the Chronicles of Narnia, and King Arthur. And I was completely obsessed with King Arthur as a kid, and still kind of am. I have an entire bookshelf just dedicated to King Arthur books. But having this book in my hands is amazing. It's about an 18-year-old girl and her brother who go with her best friend to another world connected to Earth to find their father. And almost as soon as they get there, they all get trapped inside a curse that's over all of Camelot. And Emma and her brother have to break the curse and save the people before it encroaches to the center of the city and kills everybody.
Whoa, that is exciting. I definitely want to read that. And I love your cover, by the way, too. That is such a gorgeous image, like with that magic coming out.
So this cover was actually designed by Angelique Koopman. She is the cover artist for the Tally Ink team. So she is available to anybody who wants to go through the whole 60-day challenge and use our whole process to publish your book.
I know, that is so exciting to keep up with watching how Halie is expanding the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge and her team, and she has a studio now. I think that is so incredible. Do you get to work out of the studio sometimes?
No, so I am located in Missoula, Montana, and Halie is in southern Washington, southwest Washington. So it's a bit of a hike to get to Halie. So I have not been to her new office, although I do hope to get out there eventually to visit.
That is so cool. That is one thing I do love that's come out of the crazy world we live in now, this virtual way that everybody can connect no matter where we are. So I think that's really cool that you're a part of Halie's 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. So how did you originally meet Halie?
I met Halie in college. I actually only ever interacted with her directly once. I went over to her apartment because she was roommates with one of my group members for my mechanical engineering, like one of my design classes. And while my classmates were dismantling her toaster, I was talking to her about fan fiction, and that was our only like one-on-one interaction in college. But after that, we stayed in touch, just like talking about writing and keeping in contact. And then I found out that she was actually publishing her first book with Kickstarter. And that's how I kind of got back in regular touch with her. And then since then, we've been talking a lot more. But I first met her in college while my roommates or my classmates were dismantling her toaster.
That's a great story. I love that. And I love that you kept in contact. What you do as you're part of the 60-day novel writing challenge is so cool, and I think so important because, I mean, I can attest, I did the challenge with you guys. I was in the premium group so that I got to have those extra meetings with you each week. And that combination of learning about the writing process and then you there, helping us stay motivated and understand what's really behind writing, not just those technical things about writing, kept me on track. Because this past NaNoWriMo, I was working on the same book that I was during the challenge, writing the second draft. And I did not complete it by the end of the time. But I completed my first draft by the time the 60-day novel writing challenge finished that I participated in. So I can see a huge difference. What you guys do as a combination really makes a huge difference. So did you want to tell people more about what you do as part of the challenge with the accountability and productivity coaching?
Sure. So when you sign up for the challenge, you get the option of upgrading to what we're calling professional premium. And if it's your first time through the challenge, that gets you access to me as a group coach for accountability, for mindset, for basically making it through all of the mental drama that comes with writing a novel. Because we all get caught up in, what are other people going to think? Is my storyline good enough? Am I good enough as an author? And so we take all of those pieces of brain drama and we calm it down so you have enough brain space to actually finish your book. We also started doing one-on-one sessions. So I do a one-on-one session with all of the students in Professional Premium. And at the end of it, Halie does one-on-ones to talk about, I think, up to 3,000 words of your manuscript. And then I've been doing character decision workshops. So I take the self-coaching model, which I teach in the challenge, and we use that to break down like character decisions and making sure that you understand your character's motivations. And if they're in a certain situation, what might they be thinking and feeling to act a certain way so that they get the result they want? Or what are they doing that might get them a result they don't want? And seeing it for a character is really powerful because you can see the effect of that coaching work on even a fictional character. You can then apply it to yourself. And we do that in the challenge too with the end of each coaching call, we actually have open coaching. So I'll coach the authors on their brain drama and we'll see how that plays out for a person instead of a fictional character. So that's kind of how the Professional Premium is set up. And we've also implemented what we're calling Returners Premium. So if you've already been through the challenge, you can do the same kind of upgrade and you get access to me for the whole coaching part. But then you also get access to a writing critique workshop with Lauren Loftus. She's our copy editor, and she is taking the current Returners Premium through just basically writing critique. So everybody gets the chance to share pieces of their work with the other returners, and they all get to critique each other, and they get really good feedback, and they're all having such a great time. This current round is the first round we've done that returners version, but it's been such a great success because we have so many people in the regular base level challenge now that so many people have the opportunity to upgrade for next time. So not just maybe like write a new book, but continue that work on the first book they finished and just go so much deeper in the coaching aspect and the mindset piece and getting that feedback for the actual writing part and learning how to take constructive criticism, which is a big, big deal for writers. We're not really taught how to do that, and it's such an important skill to have.
It really is. And something great about the challenge, you guys focus so much on those details you don't think about normally with writing, that really brings it together in a whole new way and makes you look at the process differently too. As somebody who's been through the challenge, it's so helpful. And you're talking about taking constructive criticism too, which I'm sure never fully gets easy because sometimes we're like, this is our baby. What are you talking about? Look at what I did.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think Halie does developmental editing for your writing as well.
She does.
Yeah. What's that like? Or what's like the best advice you've ever gotten from Halie in that step of the process for you?
Always make sure your plot is moving forward and don't be afraid to combine characters. She has, so my book went through 3 rounds of developmental edits, all with Halie. The first time was like my first draft was 105,000 words and the final draft was like 60,000. So I cut over 40,000 words between those 2 versions. And almost all of that was because of Halie's prompting. I blew up the middle twice. I just made it made it so much better because of all of the ideas that she had and that we brainstormed off each other during the review calls that we did. So what happens is she takes the manuscript for about a month, she does her edits, and then we meet at the end of it. And with me, she's never been able to get out of a 4-hour call where we just talk about it. She plans for 2 hours, and then she's like, okay, we'll go to 3. I'm like, no, it's gonna hit 4 again. So we spend like 4 hours talking about all of the things she's commented on, ways that we can make the story stronger, if there's any characters we can combine, because she loves combining characters. And with any editing process, I always tell the authors that you don't have to take any of the editor's advice. Your book, like the decisions you make for writing your book are yours. They're not the editor's. Halie can have her opinions. I mean, I could have my opinions if I was reading through somebody's work, but you are the ultimate like expert in your work. But being willing to take that feedback and being willing to see what kind of difference it could make in the overall story structure, that's what made this book way better than the first draft ever possibly could have been, because I was willing to take that feedback and apply it in new ways and not be afraid to kill my darlings. That's really what it comes down to, is don't be afraid to kill the things you love, because you still get to keep them in other files. It might not get published, but it's like having your own fan fiction. You can write whatever you want in your world, and it doesn't have to go out to the public, but you get to still keep it. It's not like you're axing it and completely destroying your work when an editor goes through it. That's what some people think editing is, but it's not.
It's true. Yeah, it's good to be open to it. Like you said, no matter, how you take or what you take and leave. I noticed when she gave me my critique at the end, she just has this great eye. Like, she picked out everything I was having a hard time with right away. And just so many things, like, the strengths of it, that it's completely changed my second draft. And I think it's so much better now from her advice. But just the stuff she picked up on, and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I see that while I was writing? So it's amazing that she does that too, also with writing and doing the challenge. And I love that you guys work together with that. Now, I think another thing you guys have in common is you both have started writing at a really young age, like around the same age, right around 12.
Yeah, I think that's about right. But she was more persistent with it. So it took her like 12 years of writing, or maybe it was 7. I can't remember the exact timing. But she started really young, and she was slogging on it. Just, that was her dream the whole time. And me, I was just like, I like writing. And then I got some kind of negative feedback from somebody and paused for about 8 months before turning to fan fiction for 10 years. So I still have a huge writing history, but not all of it is original work. Most of it is actually fan fiction from 10 years of writing that.
That's really neat about your fan fiction. So do you want to tell us more about what you were writing with fan fiction? Like, and did you actually ever post them anywhere, like published, readable? No.
Oh yes, I did. I did. They are all on fanfiction.net. It's like, caveat, it's all atrocious. Because I started in like 2008. I can't, how old was I in 2008? 14? I can't do math.
It's okay.
However old I was in 2008 is when I started, and I stopped writing in 2015 when I finished the 230,000 word book, or not book, but story that I had been writing for 5 years. But yeah, it's all out on the internet. It's mostly a combination of Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Harry Potter. And then that huge 230,000 word one is a Harry Potter like time travel fic with Snape redoing his life, which it was fun.
Oh, that's cool. Snape's my favorite character from Harry Potter, so that's awesome. Yes. I'll have to check that out. I mean, wherever we start in writing, I think it's so important. And I love that you started so young and kept with it too. And, had fun with it and then made it into more. And now you're published. I really want to read your book. It looks fantastic. You keep very busy too. I wanted to bring up, looking at your bio and just knowing you a little bit from the 60-day novel writing challenge. So I believe you have a podcast called This is Type 1 Real Life with Type 1 Diabetes. Is that still something you're doing?
Correct.
Yeah?
Yep. We have not missed a week in over 2 years.
Wow. Now, where can people find you? Just about anywhere where podcasts are, or do you have a certain site?
Literally anywhere where podcasts are, and you can also just search just go to thisistype1.com, and it's with the number 1.
And did you want to tell us a little bit more about your podcast?
Yeah, sure. So it's focused on people with type 1 diabetes, if you haven't figured that out from the title already. I've had type 1 diabetes for over 26 years. My co-host, Jessie, who is in her first year of college, has had type 1 for just about 10 years now. we met at diabetes camp, and I had this brilliant idea to start a podcast and decided I wanted a co-host, and she was basically my camp daughter. So I was like, hey, you want to do a podcast with me? And she's like, yes. So she started podcasting when she was 16, and we've been going ever since. We've never missed a week. We talk about all sorts of stuff related to type 1 diabetes, anything from how to stay safe while drinking alcohol, how to get out of victim mindset with type 1 diabetes, and every other episode we have a guest on to talk about their real life with type 1 diabetes. So we've had quite a few really interesting guests. One of my favorite and one of our most popular guests has been Dr. Ken Berry. If you are anywhere familiar with like the ketogenic lifestyle or carnivore, he is a really popular YouTube doctor. He has over like 2 million subscribers on YouTube, and that is one of our best listened episodes, where he talks about how the low carb diet and the keto, like the carnivore diet, can be really beneficial to people with type 1 diabetes because it lowers our overall insulin intake, which is kind of a big deal when you have to take insulin externally, like I do.
Yeah, that's really important information. When you're maintaining that part of your life, does any of that go into your writing or even setting the goals that you use when doing accountability and productivity challenge? Like how does that go into your writing life at all? Do you plan to write a book maybe about diabetes?
I haven't planned or thought about writing like a fiction novel with diabetes in it, just because most of the stuff that we see in popular culture with diabetes is using it as a plot point instead of it's just something she has. But with how much we've done on the podcast, I could easily take all of the scripts that I've done for our episodes and turn those into a book. It's like kind of floating out there as an idea that I might do down the line, but right now I'm focused on getting the rest of my novel series done.
That's great. How many do you plan to have in your series?
It keeps wavering between 4 and 5. But that's just like the main arc with my main characters right now. I have so many ideas for other stories that could take place in the same universe. And thanks to one of our current returners in the group we have right now, I now have almost a full-fledged idea for a villain backstory book.
Ooh, that's exciting. I love that kind of stuff where we get to find out more later on about people we already know. I think that's really cool. Now, I know that Halie does developmental editing for you. Have you read her series as well?
I have. I've backed every single one of her Kickstarters.
Oh, great. Yeah, when I didn't find her until the very first challenge she put out that was free, where she was building it. So that's when I'm listening to her talk and I'm like, wow, she really understands writing. I've got to read her series. Like, this must be fantastic. I love it. And I think that's about, gosh, how long ago now? It's hard to keep track of time these days. But so probably about a year ago, I think I read books 1 and 2. And I'm rereading them now that we're featuring before I go on to book 3, because I want to re-immerse myself in the world, which is something that I've never done with a novel ever. I don't know if you've ever reread. With writing fan fiction, did you ever reread a series?
Oh, absolutely. I would have to for the Harry Potter one, because I would want to make sure I got all of like the canon details right. I didn't change very much of like the history canon, but I changed everything that has to do with like time travel and moving forward. But I wanted to make sure I got all the details right. So of course I reread Harry Potter. That one's like the one I've reread the most.
Oh, I love it. I want to go back and reread those one day, but it takes a lot of time. I am excited though. It's kind of fun rereading, like refreshing yourself in a world. I've never done that before and I love it. So with having read Halie's series, what would you tell the readers in my book club? What do they have to look forward to about this series? What was your favorite thing about reading it?
I loved all of the twists and turns, especially when you get to the later books. She has all of these little like plot twists that you don't see coming, and they're so good. So, and oh my gosh, her character work is amazing. I think it's not the first one. It's either the second or the third where she has like her quote unquote villain and she just makes you hate him. And it was not something that she was expecting, but she wrote the character so well that it was just instantly after this single decision that he makes, like you instantly hate him. And so like all her character development is so good. Her twists and turns are so good. Her world building is really good as well. You can picture yourself in the settings that she describes, and that's one of the most powerful parts of a book, is being able to see yourself in the story.
I agree. Yeah, and rereading, I'm like all this stuff I missed before, but because I was just so focused on finding out what happens next, it is kind of cool too, like to realize and really put myself like how deep I am in the book, where I'm like it's like you can see everything that's going on around. She keeps up with the details so well. I find
That's
that.
actually one of her editing, like her developmental editing tips, is to make sure that the ending is guessable, where you might not be able to guess it on the first time through, but once you get to the end and everything is revealed, if you flip back and reread it, you could see all of the clues leading up to it. And she is so good at doing that, like feathering in those clues so that when you do go back and reread it, especially when it's fresh, you can see all the places where she put that down and she put that down, and like, oh, she's just laying the path to get to the ending here, but you didn't see it the first time through.
That's really cool. Like that's a lot to keep up with when you're editing, I feel like, and to be able to put that all together in such a way that flows so well, I think it's amazing. So it really is so fun to be reading her series, and I definitely want to read yours too. I am so excited and hear more about it. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think I'm getting about to the end of my questions. I know you have somewhere else to be, so I didn't want to add too many in. So I would love if you just want to tell us like anywhere we can find you, so we know about your podcast. Just mention that again. Social media where we can, follow you as an author, follow the 60-day novel writing challenge for anybody that's watching that's interested.
Yeah, so first of all, I would invite you to go to tallyinc.com. That's with a K, so ink.com. That's going to be the central place where you can find any of Halie's work. That's where you'll find the 60-day novel writing challenge. You'll find all of the author services that we have. So that's Halie's Developmental Editing, my coaching. So after you go through the challenge and returners premium, there's the option to do life coaching for authors, which takes you from first draft to published in a year. So that's working with me for a whole year. You can also get Angelique services for the cover artist. You can do Leanne Sutton for interior design and formatting. And then we have a printer. I haven't used the printer yet, but that's kind of the overview of the Tally Inc. services. Myself, you can find on Instagram at Inspired Forward. My business for type 1 diabetics in particular is inspiredforward.com. So that's kind of the central hub to find me. But the podcast is This is Type 1, thisistype1.com, and that'll also actually be on the Inspired Forward website. But if you just search for Inspired Forward on Instagram, you can find me.
Oh, perfect. I love it. And I just want to remind people, reviews I always bring up are so important. And I feel like, when did your book release? I feel like it's still pretty recent.
It came out on November 10th of last year, so 2021.
So definitely still probably building reviews. That's always so important. Do you want to tell us really quickly what reviews mean to you, and where people, if they get to pick up your series, Mark of the Stars, if you want to show it again too, if they pick it up, where are the best places for them to review for you?
Yeah, so you can get a copy just by going to talam.com, TALAHM.com. That has a link to the Amazon page, and it also has a link to buy a signed copy straight from me, if you would like. But all of the reviews that so far I've been getting have been on Amazon, and those are really the best ones to do, because those Amazon reviews help boost any author's standing in the ranks, and then the more people who review it, the more people who see it, the more copies get sold, and then the cycle continues until authors are successful. So that would be where to find the book and to leave a review.
That's fantastic. And I definitely want to remind people too, we have an awesome giveaway going on this month from Halie Fewkes. So everyone who's reading along, please make sure that you let us know. If you're reading book 1 this month, then your name will go into a giveaway opportunity for a name drawing at the end of the month when we get to interview Halie. And she is going to give one lucky winner who read along a beautiful copy of book 2 and 3, which is super exciting. So it's an amazing giveaway. So I hope everybody enters and enjoys reading. I literally just reread this book this week. I just soaked it right up. I'm so excited going back onto book 2 to get to book 3, which is going to be the new content for me. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. And thank you so much, Colleen, for your time. This has been so amazing. I really appreciate you coming out and talking to us about everything, the writing challenge and your writing and Halie Fewkes.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please remember to like and subscribe while you're here, and happy reading.